friends from the manga world. My name is G,
And I'm Hector.
and we're here to talk about the March 2025 new titles releasing for manga. Hector and I, we work for Penguin Random House, so the titles that you'll see today are those that we can sell around the world. Aside from this YouTube channel, we're also on Facebook, X, and on Instagram at PRH International Comics, where you'll see us post some updates and news on there. So definitely check us out on those platforms. We will begin with our picks that we are uh, personally excited for, but we'll also go over some volume one highlights, and we'll leave you with the rest of the list of like key like continuing volumes that you don't want to miss out on. So we'll go ahead and get started with our picks here. And first up is actually me. This is Comic Party Wonder Love Volume 2. If you didn't know already, we are now distributing with Tokyo Pop titles. This is one of them. This is a BL manga about men who love BL manga, which, yay!
Very
So,
meta.
yes, yes. I love the cover too. They're it's like
Yeah.
they're in a BL manga, but their BL manga life
They're
exists in
living. They're
reality.
living. Yeah.
They're living it.
Yes.
So then we have these two men who write BL in their spare time. We have one of them who's like really cool, laid back, handsome guy who's like his style of dark BL is like the popular thing that he writes about. And then we have, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Toss or TOS. We have the like other character who's light and fluffy writing, so he does like the fluffy BL. Um, but that is less popular, and he's very social awkward as well, have difficulty communicating. So you have like two different personalities, two different BL writing styles that they write in, and even though they are complete opposites in everything, they find themselves drawn to one another regardless. So I love this so much. So yes, of course, had to mention this. It's one of my picks.
All right. And we continue with Dead Rock. This is by the amazing Hiro Mashima, the creator of Eden Zero and Fairy Tale, which you can also find through Penguin Random House. And in this case, Hiro Mashima takes us not to space and not to the seven seas, but into the realm of the dead and demons. So that rock is it's the top institution in a top school in the underworld, and it is a facility to train demons and teach him how to do mischief. And there's this young demon called Yakuto, who, it, that's all he wanted. He just, wanted to be a good demon and all that. But there's not such a thing about as getting things the easy way in hell. So he has to go to the school, and of course he has to survive the entrance exam and survive his classmates. So this is just very typical fantasy action comedy, obviously shonen. And if you love fairy tale, if you love Eden Zero, as I do, love both of those, you're definitely gonna love this. And like I said, it's just basic. It's great to see big authors like Hiro Mishima not boxing themselves into one environment and moving from, like I said, from fairy tale, in the seven seas and in the fantasy world to space and now into the demon world. I love that. So looking really forward to this one. I think I'm definitely going to enjoy this one.
All right. Next up,
Yes.
we have Heaven's Official Blessing. This is the deluxe hardcover novel, volume 3. So if you don't know anything about it, I'll go over it here. But you should because it's immensely popular. We
Yeah.
have this crown prince who's like really renowned for his beauty, strength, purity. He's dedicated to the study that allowed him to basically ascend to godhood. But those who rise could fall. In this case, he does, and he's cast from the heavens and basically banished to the world below. But what happens is that 800 years like has passed in his mortal life when he's cast out of heaven, and he has now ascended to godhood. Not just the like it's the third time that this has happened. He just ascended to godhood, which is like really wild that this happens. Someone that gets cast out consistently gets back into godhood. But basically, he's not the most like people are the other gods are not really fond of him in like during this whole process of him ascending, and he does have to repay his debts, and he is sent to the mortal realm again to basically hunt down these ghosts, these troublemaking spirits who prey on the living, and he like could repay his debts because the mortals below can like pray and to like the gods, and he gets like attention because of that. Like that's part of the debt payment, is to get those offerings from the mortals that pray to him basically. So along his travels he meets I know this is a very long premise. This all happened like this is the premise.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up here, but he in his travels he meets this brilliant, like young man, Sanlang, who he feels an instant connection to, but this guy is more than he appears, and there's like mysteries that go beyond this. So this is just like the setup of what to expect in this very interesting, engaging read. So this is like for anyone who loves like a romanticized love, danmei, love between men, in like a fantasy novel setting, this is definitely for you. It has like adaptations. There is a donghua out there, so there's an animation that has like over 100+ million views. That is just within the first month to give you a sense of when it was released, to give you like this like the span of how popular this is if you weren't
Yeah.
aware. So this deluxe hardcover is being released, of course, by Seven Seas, in the English language. I do have an example of the first volume here, so you can take a look at it. Of course, the third volume is coming out in March. What's really cool is the sprayed edges here, and I did want to show. I don't have the second volume to show on camera, but this is like a digital representation. It's a mock-up. Just keep that in mind of like what the spines would look like. Not the
Not the
spine,
spines.
the
No.
pages, the
The
edges, the
pages.
sprayed
Yeah. The sprayed
edges,
edges. Yeah.
what that would look like together. And you
Yeah.
can see it's connecting, because you have like these characters' arms that like go through to the other
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sprayed edge, which is really cool. So
Yeah.
it's a really beautiful edition. Let me take off the dust jacket to see because it's gilded. There's gold foiling
Yeah.
on the hardcover as well. If you take off the
Yeah.
it's incredibly beautiful.
And I do want to add that as an I'm not a big fan of BL like G is, but this one I extremely enjoyed, and then I don't read BL not because of, I wouldn't like it. It's because I like so much other stuff that I don't have time. But I think everybody should, that is a fan uh, of literature in general, should give this a chance. And you have your choice of just doing the light novel, or with the manga now available too. We have it. It's available now already, right? I keep forgetting. Or it's coming. I think it's
I don't
coming.
I don't know Oh, right.
for sure. But the light novel is amazing. I
Yeah.
think because I read the light novel, the first couple of volumes, and it has everything. It has like if you like historic fiction, if you like mystery and sort of like that kind of thing, if you like politics and that kind of intrigue of politics, and it has a lot of humor in it too, which I surprised me. I love the humor in this one too. It's not all the way throughout, but it has some really cool pieces of humor in there. So I think it's a very good starting point if you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna like, these Chinese novels that are coming out now. It's like I give this one a chance. I think this one is one that everybody should be able to enjoy. It's very, very cool. Yes.
Okay.
There you go. That was my 2 cents
Mhm.
about it. And then Made in Abyss, number 13. I think every time there's a new volume, I talk about Made in Abyss because, and G knows I'm a huge fan. I keep saying this is probably my favorite manga, and the anime, it's up there, one of my favorite animes. And this is by Akito Tsugushi. And if you don't know, really quick, Made in Abyss is about this world where there's this abyss, and it's a very deep hole, basically, on the earth, and it is it's just a big, huge crater with 7 levels, and it has full of these ancient artifacts, and that they kind of resemble pieces of technology somehow, and there's a civilization that was built around the crater that it's all about the explorers going down and bringing back some of the artifacts, and they make a living out of that. And there's actually a school and schools to teach kids about how to explore. And there's this orphanage, and Rico, the main character, she is in that orphanage, and she's the daughter of probably the most famous explorer. And she decides one day she discovers as she's discovering on a level. So one of the mechanics of it is that as you go down, you gotta be trained because the same as you when you're deep diving into the sea, the pressure of coming back up could actually kill you to the point where if you're in a very low level, down to the like some of the deeper levels, like I think past 3, if you go up some stairs at that level, you could die. You start bleeding and you start like I lose you can't breathe. It's that much. So they have to train. So the little kids are like on level 1, and she finds this robot boy that saves her from a creature because also that's like creatures all over the place. And at some point they decide they're going to explore down and trying to find her mom who never returned from her last trip. And it's their adventures. This looks extremely cute, and you have Nanachi, which is another character that joins them on this journey. Uh, but the characters looks extremely cute, which is very cool and very very neat. But the story is a very serious story. It does have cuteness and funny moments, but there's also a lot of horror, and there's a lot of like very stressful moments. There's depressing moments. There's very sad moments too. And it's such a deep world building, and the story and the characters are so well developed that that's why it's such a big deal. And for fans of the anime and the movies, because there's a few seasons and a few movies, the volume 12 that came out last year and 13 are the new stories past that. So we're getting into the new arcs, and we're getting towards stories of them, spoiler alert, making it to the 7th level. But I think that's not really a big spoiler, just so the journey, it's what's fun about it. So I'm always going to keep talking any chance I get about Made in Abyss. And it's another one that everybody who loves manga should definitely get into, read. So there you go. And there's also a spin-off stories too. So if you can't have enough, there's also another spin-off arc that is also available from Seven Seas. So there you go.
Okay. Next up, we have Touch Within the Abyss. This is about a hitman who once failed to basically pull a trigger on his target, and it cost him his brother's life. And so that day, there's this sole witness who took his like trembling hand, and like stared right at him. And oddly enough, it's like someone stared into his soul, but it's into the abyss of his eyes, hence the
Mhm.
title, Touch with the Abyss. So 5 years later, there's this perch snatching incident that reunites him with like his savior, like the person who had like touched him at a crucial moment in his life where like he was at a down point, his brother is dead. This person just reached out and like touched him physically, but also touched him like emotionally as well to get him through. And they lost contact, but now they've returned. This incident has like got them reunited again. But now Kasumi, that guy who he reunited with, is basically this young blind man searching for his way out of this lonely world. And he, because of his job as a hitman, the worst thing that you could possibly do is interact with someone who was a witness to like a previous crime that like even though he failed to complete the task. It's like it's you just don't mix with someone who was a witness. But he can't help but be drawn by his smile, by who this person is. And so um it's just this like really like tense. There's a tension between the two, what to do in the circumstance. And um there is like the past that they have to deal with as well that like catches up with them. And so it's a really heartwarming story about these two characters, and I highly recommend picking it up again from Tokyo Pop with this one.
Yeah. And we continue with The Last Elf, Volume 1. This is by Akira Sawano. And just so you know, Akira Sawano is also part of the team. He's the illustrator of Skeleton Knight in Another World, which is also a very successful manga that also Seven Seas has available, and it has been adapted to anime too. And so The Last Elf, um, I'm really excited. There's been a sort of a resurgence of high fantasy, non-isekai high fantasy, I should say. It's always been there, but like it's become again very, very popular. And last year we saw some big adaptations that were very successful, adaptations to anime like Frieren and Delicious in Dungeon. But I think if you look at the list of top titles recently, you could see there's more and more interest. And also on the book side, there's a lot. And Lord of the Rings is sort of coming back with the animation and the TV show and all that. So there's a lot of interest in that. And like I said, it's never gone away, but I think it's again becoming very, very popular and it's having a moment. And this is one of those stories. In this case, with the last elf, um, this is a world where the military and sort of uh, I'm trying to like the industry and military and all of that is sort of taking over, and technology, like physical technology, is taking over the world and kind of down, and like magic is being put aside and it been pushed aside actually. And humans that do not know magic, they are definitely kind of trying to get rid of magic in the world, and they're being replaced, magic's being replaced by human technology, and especially by war. And across this land where there's a lot of war, this elf who survived, is the last surviving elf. She travels across the land looking for spirits that are sort of trapped, and helping them cross to their original realm before they get destroyed. as the land is being destroyed or as magic is being destroyed in the world. But also at the same time, she's being persecuted as the last elf, and obviously there are those who wants to see her completely gone as the last sort of symbol of magic and existing in this world. It's uh, it sounds like a very epic fantasy story from we know the illustrations for what we've seen from the Skeleton Knight in Another World are gonna be amazing, and of course the story sounds very cool, and it sounds like it's gonna be one of those like like a very classic high fantasy story with a very strong main female character that is an elf, which, like I said, is kind of a thing now. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and it's someone to keep. It's one to keep an eye on, like I said, because I think it's gonna draw a lot of attention from not just fans of manga, but fans of fantasy. So there you go.
All right, okay, and then we begin with our volume ones. So we have 2345. This is from the author of Ohana, but this is their debut English series. So we have this bittersweet romantic mystery following this shy college freshman Iku, who recently discovered he can see ghosts. And we have So, the friendly phantom that latches onto him. So Iku searches to find out why his new roommate is forced night after night to relive the fall that turned him into a specter. Next, we have 12 Dirty Deeds to Unite the Princess and Her Heroine, Volume 1. So, this is a spicy Yuri manga about a princess and her beloved female knight who returns from an epic battle as a pervert. So, cursed by the demon lord in its final moments, we have uh, Lunaria, who must now perform 12 wildly perverted acts. She can't help it, has to lift the spell that threatens her very soul. And then we have Assassin and Cinderella Volume 1. This is about Nanika, who's a spy blessed with cat like charms. Her mission is basically to seduce the ace assassin of a rival organization and expose his weaknesses. The problem is that she's blown her cover before learning a thing about him, and rather than her organization disposing of her, or the other rival organization, the target makes an indecent proposal, marry him and take the relationship to the next level, because that's the only option. At your service in another world, this is the manga volume 1. We have a steamy tale about lust and disdain as one woman finds herself drawn to a knight she can't stand, and this is based off of the light novel.
All right, and we continue with volume ones, and we have Fake Fact Lips. This my Mashi Suehiro, and Rio and Zen are two men who hate to lose, especially to each other. From high school rivals to rival co-workers. While out for drinks, the two begin arguing about who's more experienced in love. Suddenly, their newest competition is set. The winner is whoever makes the other fall in love with them first. And this is something, this is a trope I've seen in romantic comedies before in like American movies. So it'd be interesting to see it as a BL. And then we got Fainting Fox and a Face Full of Flowers. This is by Rio Ayamine. And this is a love intolerant, steamy, and proud, beautiful fox spirit, hungry for love. Oh, tolerant Seme, and a proud, beautiful fox spirit hungry for love. At Slade's grandfather's house, Ken meets Kazume, fox spirit, who claims to have known his grandfather. And then we continue with how to deal when your intimidating neighbor is actually an Omega. This is by Nikuya Inoue. A college-age alpha lives next door to a scary-looking hottie whom he assumes is an alpha too, but a shocking encounter will correct that assumption. An irresistible tattooed omega living next door. What is what's a virgin alpha to do? complete story in one volume. So it's a one shot. And we continue with I Got Married to the Girl I Hate Most in Class Manga Volume 1 by Amano Suji, illustrated by Mosokombu. Mosokombu. What happens when you get hitched to your nemesis? One newlywed student couple must figure out how to live in harmony in this hilarious rom-com. And don't miss the anime. All right.
I like that in the title there's a thumbs down. It's hard to see, but there's a thumbs
Of course
down
you would see it and nowadays,
in the word
ah, I see
most
it. Yeah, I see it inside of the O of most.
inside of the O. That's
Yeah.
great. All right, next up we have I'm in love with the older girl next door, volume one. Who isn't? So he's crushing on the
Yeah.
older girl next door, as the title implies. That's what you expect here. So we have the main character here who's building up their confession, and courage to confess one movie night at a time. And then we have, so I put both of them here because we have the like Legend of Exorcism Volume 1, but then there's also the special edition version that you can get. So, this is a high fantasy adventure set in ancient China. We have a naive young man who must join hands with an unlucky general to protect the mortal world from evil spirits. So, this is a Danmei novel. This actually takes place in the same universe as Dinghai uh, Fusheng Records. Apologies on the pronunciation there, but you can also pick that up to read as well if you haven't. The limited edition is a one-time printing, so fans would definitely want to pick up on this before we go out of stock. And this is, like I said, it's what's interesting about this. It's going to be beautiful, but the special edition includes like trading cards. It has like a lined notebook involved in it, a sticker sheet, and we have like a bookmark in there as well. So just there's things to look forward to if you do pick up the special edition. And then next we have Rosen Maiden Collector's Edition Volume 1. This is such a unique premise. We have a character named June who encounters this mysterious box that disrupts his world basically. So this box reveals like a shinku, which is a living doll, and he's pulled into this dangerous world of the Alice game, which is basically a deadly battle where only one of the seven like Rose and Maiden dolls can emerge as the perfect doll. Which with the danger that comes from that, June is able to learn just how intense playing dolls can be. So taking that concept, turning it into like a violent scary thing is
Yeah.
what you have here. So it's a cool collection to have.
And we continue with the Ayakashi Hunter's Tainted Bride number 1 by Mamenosuke Fujimaru and created by Midori Yuma. The much anticipated webtoon comes to print, a steamy historical fantasy romance about a cursed girl stunned by those around her and the demon hunter who falls for her. Norogama meets My Happy Marriage in this mix of romance, action, and suspense. Then we continue with The Emperor's Caretaker number 1, original story and illustration by Ishiha Hiragi and Aya Shoto, and art by Haruki Yoshimura. A statesman's daughter finds herself swept into the world of palace intrigue when she is chosen to be the court's lady in this richly illustrated period fantasy. And next up is Trapped by His Love, The Duke's Unexpected Bride, Volume 1. When her engagement to her childhood bully is announced, Alice Coleman is utterly aghast, is in a desperate bid to find a stand in as an alternate fiancé, she blurs out a proposal to the wealthy, high-ranking son of a duke, and to her shock, he accepts. A Cinderella-inspired fantasy romance full of twists, turns, and political intrigue. I gotta point out, are these Oh, okay. Never mind. I was gonna say, yeah, they're alphabetical order, but these three, they're very similar, I feel. But anyways, and then we have "You Are My Alpha" by Arata Asane. And in a school meant for alphas, one young man goes through a change that could get him expelled or worse. See how two honor students do whatever it takes to protect each other in this boys love Omegaverse manga.
Mhm.
All right, very cool, and that's it I think for
Yep,
the volume ones, right?
that's it for the volume ones, and we'll exit out of the screen, but definitely stay on to take a look at the continuing volumes that are coming in March. Hector and I, we enjoy doing these, so definitely check us our other videos out on our YouTube channel, and again, we're on social media description below. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. Bye everyone.
Bye.